The Quebec stevedoring company Arrimage Quebec has been under the gun in recent months to explain why so much dust is falling on parts of Quebec City. The company handles a broad range of bulk cargo and mineral concentrate at the installations at the port here, including iron ore, salt, raw sugar, copper, and nickel concentrates. Those last two have been fingered as the culprits by two residents in Limoilou who took dust samples for testing last fall after a blanket of red dust settled on the neighborhood. Since then, Environment Quebec has released results of its own testing. They found levels of nickel 6 times higher than the province's safety standard. In the meantime, the company has decided on a series of measures to try to deal with the problem. Today, they're opening up their installations for a media tour. Johanne Lapointe is Vice President of Public Affairs for Arrimage Québec. She's live with us on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, Mrs. Campbell.
Madame Lapointe, does the company accept responsibility for this dust that's been falling over parts of the city?
Well, we did accept responsibility for the red dust event in October. And we actually accepted responsibility right away. Published a phone number for the residents who had claims, so that they could phone us and let us know about those claims. But for other dust issues, the Ministry of Environment is busy these days trying to locate the source of these metals emissions. It is not clear where the source comes from.
So you're waiting for the results of their investigations?
Yes, we are. We are actually helping in the process as much as we can.
And is there a possibility that the investigations might end up pointed your way as well?
Well, I'd rather not comment on
hypotheticals?
Yes, thank you.
That's okay. That's fine. Okay, can we talk about the fact, though, that just in a general sense, have there been occasions in the loading and unloading process and the operations of the company when there have been obvious clouds of dust?
I'm sorry?
Have there been occasions in just regular operations where there have been obvious clouds of dust that have been created?
Well, there is low levels of dust when we operate. There have been occurrences where I saw there was an article this morning last summer when we did some unloading of coal at the Anse-au-Foulon terminal. Mm-hmm. The dust spillage didn't occur during the unloading and during the operations. It occurred the day after. We were spraying the pile that had been unloaded, but if you remember, we had a very dry summer, and the spraying that we had in place was not enough, and just the wind picked up some dust from the pile and spread it. We did have that occurrence last summer, yes.
Are the operations we're talking about, the loading and unloading, done always outside, à l'air ouvert? Is it always, or is there any sort of protection in those cases?
We do both. We do open operations for some of the material, like coal, for salt, or for iron products in any kind of shape. Other material would be done inside. If we talk about other kinds of metals like nickel and copper and stuff like this would be done inside.
And that protocol depends on the material that's being handled?
Yes, it does.
We've spoken about the situation. We've talked to a number of the people who are involved in the question of investigating the source of the dust on this show, and of course we've talked to the people in Limoilou who are the ones who first raised the flag about this dust. Among them, Véronique Lalande, who was one of the first residents of Limoilou who raised the issue. I'd just like to give you a sense of what she said on our program in terms of the question she'd like to see answered.
Like, I don't want to say that every movement they made is it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing that they want to know, but I would like to know what kind of captors, why, where are they going to be positioned? Is there going to be some captors inside and outside their installation? And also, who's going to have access? Who's going to respond if the levels are too high? Who's going to tell me? And ultimately, will they give those information to the ministry and all the other authorities from the Ville de Quebec and everything? So I think it's a good thing, but there's a lot of question mark in my head, so that I cannot say today it's a good thing and now I feel reassured.
That's Véronique Lalande, who was one of the first to talk about the fact that she had concerns about this dust that was falling on Limoilou. She's talking there about measures that would see to it that dust in the air would be measured on a regular basis. But she also would like to know whether those results of those measures will actually be made available to people in those neighborhoods that are affected. What are your responses?
Well, we have started to install some of those dust collectors that she was referring to, and this installation is pretty recent. We do not have results yet because we're still in the process of, we have to, il faut les calibrer.
You have to calibrate the machinery, yeah.
Yes, thank you. So we're still in the process of calibrating them. The results will be our own. I understand the Port of Quebec, though, will also be installing their own system of dust collectors, and probably the port's results would be made public. But again, the question would have to be directed to them.
The captors that we're talking about, if I understand correctly, are designed to measure the quantity of metals in the air. Is that right? As opposed to actually, are we talking as well about any kind of filter system that would actually prevent the particles from being emitted?
No, those captors are to measure, and then we collect the filters, and we have the filters analyzed so we can know what of particles they collected. Now, those dust collectors are there so that we can know right away if there's a dust emission.
And there would be action that would be taken as a result of those measures and
yes.
of the readings that you're seeing.
Yes, if the dust collectors pick up a significant or level of dust emission that's above a set level, it would automatically kick in a spraying system,
which would dampen the material and would presumably result in less dust being emitted.
Yes.
There
will be regular spraying on the material, but for some reason, like let's say we have a very dry summer like we had last year, if the weather conditions ask for more spraying, then the dust collectors would be one extra measure.
Okay. So there'd be a double kind of a filter there so that you'll be aware
yes.
of what you might have to do in terms of action.
Yes.
In terms of the results of your testing and of your filter of your captors being made public, is that something that you plan to do?
Well, we haven't answered that question yet. We're still in the process of investing, and we're in the construction phase. Mm-hmm. So these decisions will be made later and will be made jointly with the authorities at the Port of Quebec.
We appreciate your time this morning, Madame Lapointe. Thank you for being with us. Merci.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Johanne Lapointe is the Vice President of Public Affairs for Arrimage Québec, the stevedoring company at the Port of Quebec, the company opening its installations for a media tour later today.